Mm-hmm.
And we've dealt with a lot, just like everybody else. And so in order to be authentic and honest with our with our readers, we got to talk about what happens.
Right.
And this is the kind of stuff that happens. Right. We're dealing with rejection.
Right.
I
hadn't even heard the term microaggressions. That was not really a thing.
You got to get out more.
Hey, not if that's what's out there. You know what I mean, though? And so it's so funny when people start to dissect your stuff. Like I remember when Get Out came out.
Mm-hmm. Scary movie.
I love that movie.
Loved it.
But Jordan Peele did a video where he addressed all the things that people thought that he put into the book.
Into the movie?
Yeah, into the movie.
Right.
And some was like, yep, I did that. And some was like, no.
Right.
So it's like when people perceive you to be a genius, which I know,
I am.
You don't experience.
Yes,
that.
I am. Thank you.
But like sometimes they give you credit for stuff that you've not even done. So I remember someone writing to me, it's like, I love it when Drew and Andy fall down and they're wrestling in New Kid and Andy puts his hands up in the air like he's mocking the Black Lives Matter movement.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I just drew his hands up in the air.
Right.
Like I didn't do all that, but that's pretty brilliant. I will accept that. Thank you very much.
The same thing happened with The Crossover. There's a scene where Josh and his dad are on their way to the basketball game and he gets pulled over by the cops. And the cop comes up and he says, I'm sorry. And the cop says, give me your license. And he gives him the license. And he says, oh, you Chuck the Man Bell. Oh, I used to watch you play. Can you sign? And his dad signs a Krispy Kreme napkin for the cop. And then they go on about their way. Somebody wrote a whole review about how this novel is about police brutality.
Wow.
And I was like, it's not. Like, that wasn't my thinking. But I understand the trauma that comes around some of these things and the way we perceive it. And I'm trying to sort of fight back against that. I'm trying to write books that are aspirational and books that allow us to be able to see ourselves in a more humanistic way. And we are not defined by these things that happen to us, by trauma. Right. We define ourselves for ourselves. And that's important to me.
Yep. All right. So 2015.
Yeah.
You get a phone call. I'm assuming it's early in the morning.
Yeah, it's at 7:16.
Yep. What did it tell you?
And I won the Newbery Medal.
Right.
And it was life-changing. And a lot of the things that happened after that, I was not expecting, like the TV show.
Right. So the Newbery, if you don't know, it's been around
1922.
1922 is like the Oscars of children's books.
Right.
You won in 2014. You were the fourth African-American author to win.
Right.
Only the second male African-American author to win.
Mildred Taylor, Virginia Hamilton, Christopher Paul Curtis, and myself.
Right.
And then I think the next time a Black person won, they just gave it to him. It wasn't really earned.
So if you hear the insult, you know it was me. So that was me in 2020.
Yeah.
And what did that mean for you? Did you realize that kind of makes you a first ballot Hall of Famer?
I thought it did. I thought this is the ticket. This is I've reached the top of the mountain. I'm in the promised land now. And so everything is going to be gravy. For a minute, you forget that you're Black in America in some ways. Mm-hmm. And I remember, the biggest thing that happened for my career was we sold the book to Disney to make a TV show. And so we're making the TV show. We're shooting it here in New Orleans. Mm-hmm. And it's during the summer and it's oppressively hot.
Right.
And one of the executives takes me out to dinner. And we're talking about the show. And she says, can you make the show more... You know where this is going, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she said it like this, but can you make it more Black?
Right.
And so she says, can you
Kill the dad.
Can you add graffiti to the story?
Okay. So now
Okay,
Josh is tagging the
Can you do that? Can you amp up the conflict? Can you bring in maybe one of the boys has a drug problem?
Dude, it's Hollywood Shuffle.
It's literally Hollywood Shuffle. And then the thing that the catcher was,
They killed him.
she says, Kwame, can you maybe it's the mom and dad, maybe you show us how Black people love.
Wow.
Now, I'm not judging. I get it. You can't know what you don't know. And people, in particular, non-Black people, have been influenced by all of the media and how it has, talked about, showed, explained, depicted Black people throughout the years, and that's how they grow up. Right. And if you're not reading books by Toni Morrison, if you're not reading books by Alice Walker, if you're not reading books by Jacqueline Woodson, then your imagination is very limited. Right. So I just, I pushed back on all of that, but I just found it really, disappointing, and potentially it could have been humiliating if I wasn't the person who I was.
Right. So imagine all the people that don't think they could push back, and they start out with this amazingly original idea, and then all of a sudden it's like, can you wiggle your butt when you walk?
Right.
And can you
shuck and jive?
Right. Right.
And
you got to coordinate.
Yeah. Black people, so often we are just so happy to be in the room, Jerry. That we allow ourselves to be defined by other people. And when you got kids' tuitions to pay for, when you got mortgage, when you got a car, it's very difficult to push back when you need that paycheck. I get it.
Now, did you ever get it the other way? Did you ever get it from Black readers saying that it wasn't Black enough?
Nah, I didn't. I never got that because I'm pretty Black, Jerry.
I had a woman on Goodreads, Black woman. And she was like, and again, I didn't want to do trauma. I didn't want Jordan, who's 12, predominantly white, private school. I didn't want him pushed in lockers. I didn't want them spraying names on his locker. Mm-hmm. I wanted to do kind of mundane kind of things that happen on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
Like when they talk about death by 1,000 paper cuts, I went like that as opposed to just a mallet on your head.
Sure.
And so all these people on Goodreads, 5 stars, 5, 5, 5, and we love it, and slice of life. And this one Black woman was like, yeah, well, I went to private school and it was a lot worse than that. Or he has it where they call the Black kids by the wrong names. That ain't realistic. So I wrote to her. I'm like, hey, sister, I'm really sorry that, but this is my experience, the experience of my kids. I'm sorry you had such a traumatic thing, but I did not want to put that in the book. Think, let's skip the olive branch. And then she writes back, sure is tacky when you criticize an author's book and he come back at you talking, and I'm like, oh man. And that's why on Goodreads now, if you're an author and you go to reply, it says, are you sure you want to reply?
Right.
And like, yeah. And then you click left. Are you really sure?
Yeah.
You sure you want to do this? But now the opposite, when School Trip came out, there was a white teacher that goes on Goodreads because I'm addicted. I read all my reviews. I know I shouldn't. And she says, I'm not sure that my largely poor, largely African-American kids are going to be able to relate to these kids who go to Paris for a week.
Mm.
Therefore, I refuse to bring this book into my classroom.
Mm.
I'm like, so you don't want to give them any aspirations that they could travel? Meanwhile, white kids are reading about how single-handedly they can overthrow an evil dystopian future. Or my kids can't go to private school, but their white counterparts can go to wizard school and fly on brooms and magic and all that stuff.
It's so true.
And I'm like, whew,
yeah.
I don't think you need to teach our Black boys, ma'am.
Yeah. All right, let's go question number 2, Jerry.
All right.
Jerry, what practical strategies do you recommend for individuals seeking to nurture resilience in themselves and support it within their broader community amidst ongoing adversity? So the way I translate that question is, how do you convince people to say yes?
Right. With me, sometimes you gotta make your own way. Because even so, when you talk about Sam Greenlee, right?
Right.
Spooker sat by the door.
Right.
I love his interviews where he went to get a permit to film on the subway in Chicago. And they were like, no, it costs too much money.
Right.
So him and his friends would like get up at 5:00 in the morning, run on the train, film it, and then get back off the train.
Right.
And sometimes, you have to, if you know it's a good idea, you got to do what you have to do. I went to the library, got a book on how to self-publish, taught me how to self-publish. There are Black librarians to talk, like specifically for what we do, Black bookstores like Baldwin Co, right? And, I remember I met you because you used to put on your own book festivals. So I guess if no one's inviting you, you do it yourself.
Right.
And I think you can't be resilient if you surround yourself with people who are pushing you down.
Preach on it.
Because there's this thing, and I haven't said it in years, so give me some leeway if it's messed up. But if your circle of friends do not encourage you to be better, it's not a circle, it's a prison.
Ooh.
Right?
Ooh, okay.
So, I knew self-publishing. Sometimes I'd be like, hey, look at my new book. And they just say, oh, thank you. And I'm like, hey, that's $10. Like, I can't give to everyone.
Right.
Right. You got people that, are baking cakes and they're like, how much for a slice? $4. It's like, I'm your sorority sister. You can't give me $4 for a slice of cake. But you'll go to Starbucks and get a scone for $6. You know what I mean? So you have to find your tribe of where you can feel safe and be safe and get that support. Because if it's not there and you always got people undercutting you when you're not in the room, it's going to be 10 times as hard.
Yeah. I liken it to, I'll use a sports metaphor.
Hold on.
This idea of how to nurture and train resilience in a person. When I was 3, we lived on 112th and Morningside. And my parents were in graduate school at Columbia University.
Okay.
And so my father used to take me to the playground to shoot baskets, because my father was a basketball star in college in the Air Force. And so that was our bonding time, to go shoot baskets.